And we in those letters do share concerns that we've heard from the residents beyond, just the general, do you think we should do testing? Because we have residents coming to us with concerns. So we have all of those now, and they've responded back indicating that they feel testing has been adequate thus far regarding the impacts of the fire and do not recommend indoor testing at this time. They specifically state that there's many factors that can complicate indoor testing and make it difficult to attribute to one specific source. So if you read these, they kind of put us in a difficult spot because we want to be sure that whatever data we receive is properly vetted on a state level where they can actually act on it. Yet it would appear our current option would not achieve it. Even indoor air quality testing, is difficult to link to one specific source according to their own letters. So, given that the health officials on the state and federal level do not see a need for further testing, it would also be made more challenging for the city to be reimbursed by Carus Chemical for further testing going forward. I think that the city is still able to hire its own company to do further testing. We're just in this position of, okay, if we do that further testing, what do we do with it if we know the state and federal government, don't foresee that moving the needle? I don't have any firm recommendation here, but I do think that until there's movement of some sort on a state or federal level, we're kind of at an impasse of what we're able to do on a municipal government basis. So I would suggest that any data that's out there right now from the Sierra Club to make sure that it is sent to the IDPH and the EPA, and those that have health-related questions or concerns for the lack of further testing, I would direct those specifically to those agencies and discuss your concerns, your frustrations, making sure they have all the data available. We send everything that we have to them. Additionally, you can consult with your own independent lawyers and doctors to discuss these issues, specifically as it relates to health going forward. I'm not sure where we go from here, if there's more information that we can present to the state and federal government. At this point, we've sent them everything we have, and they basically recommended there's no need for further testing, which again, puts us into a tricky spot here going forward. Anything that we do going forward is going to be something the city of Salle takes on. What we do with that information, I just don't.
Brian, are you kind of saying that the US EPA and the Illinois EPA have said that we've hit the roadblock, that everything, all the information that has been passed on from all the other agencies, that there really isn't anything more that they can do except for the lawsuits that need to take place?
Yes, I would say that's the case. They're going to continue to do testing as they clean up the Carus Chemical site themselves, and that is the only testing they've discussed.
And we have copies of all those emails for anybody that wants them. They're directly from IDPA,
US EPA,
and US EPA. But basically what Brent's saying, if we went ahead and did the $80,000, that we can just basically be laughed at. And so if we submit a bill to CARE saying, they told you not to do it, you did it anyway, that's on you. That's basically what this comes down to. So we're definitely at the suggestion for alternate routes of what we can do.
We could hire the Sierra Club, and I think that we're going to get the same result as how I've read their response in those letters. So,
they're basically saying there's no scientific way, no matter how bad the indoor air quality or whatever is, to connect this to the incident.
That's what these three organizations use.
Now
that Jamie's here, he has the Sierra Club.
Yeah.
I've given them the report, but if you want to...
Yeah,
I think it'd be fair to let Jamie speak to that.
Yeah, I wish I could. Back to what you just said, I don't like that podium that close up there, so can I?
Speak up a little bit louder.
I need a little room.
in the back can't hear.
I need a little room, so if we could like scoot it over, I don't wanna feel like I'm attacking people, That's not my intentions at all. I'm gonna feel a little bit more comfortable.
You got a cord.
Basically, I understand what you're saying. I understand the EPA and what the health department are saying. The US EPA has been saying that since the 17th of January. But since the paperwork I had. But I'm just here to talk on kind of behalf of Denise and the Sierra Club and what they're offering to propose. And like you said, it's not a point of hiring. The Sierra Club is a nonprofit organization. What they do is they assist. They assisted us in getting the furnace filter tested. It wasn't a matter of is it according to the EPA. It was a matter of collecting data for us because we weren't getting the data that we needed from the US EPA or the Illinois EPA. So the thing is if we do decide to, I talked to Denise before I read this, that I asked her if she could help find a company that we could hire, that would be approved, that we could go through, that we trust, that the residents trust at this point. And I'll kind of get into that a little bit later on. But I'm going to present this to the council. You guys have a copy of the full packet. This is kind of just a breakdown of it. And basically what we have provided, we have provided a review of the brownfield proposal. What we believe is not necessary and propose an alternative plan. We understand that the review and alternative plan may also be sent to the EPA and the health department and other agencies, of course. We believe that we believe that further testing is required in order to fully understand potential exposure to the community. We do not agree with Brownfield's plan to test for VOCs, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, formaldehyde, ozone, temperature, and humidity. It is unnecessary, and so is the plan for a questionnaire for homeowners to say if they smoke, use candles, or have a fireplace. No, it seems that Brownfield might have proposed this in a way to show that contaminants inside the homes are not from Carus Chemical. Understand, this would only help Carus, not the people in the community. Metals in the homes, yards, and gardens, and parks are what we need to focus on, so the community knows what their total exposure has been and will be as a result of the fire and explosion. Number 5, we do not agree with we do not agree that testing furnace filters for PAH, polyacrylic aromatic hydrocarbons, is necessary. Everyone's home has some level of these PAHs. Our concern is ongoing hazards posed by metals in soil, furnaces, yards, and gardens. We recommend that additional 25 furnace filters should be tested as Brownfield suggested, and that the homeowner pull the filters themselves and bring them to City Hall. We also recommend that additional furnace filter samplings to be collected from homes south of Carus where none have been sampled to date, and west of Carus also recommend. Because manganese is a particular concern for children when inhaled, and because of the gaps in what we know, we recommend additional samplings inside homes where children and vulnerable people live. Our recommendation is to test for manganese dust inside homes using wipe samples. Studies show that dust in homes that contain manganese is a significant source of exposure to children. We have to provide our recommendations for why and how this can be. We also suggest that these wipe samples should be collected from homes where we already have or plan to test furnace filters, or where we have data from the soil. Having the information from the soil, furnace filters, and dust wipe samples will help us understand the of hazardous that are from the fire and the explosion has posted to the community. Brownfield did not include in our proposal, but we will also recommend the following. One of the results from the soil from Brownfield's tests recently reported was collected at the Matheson's playground. The results was 1,560 parts per million of manganese. The residential soil criteria for manganese is 1,600 parts per million. Because of this new information indicates the potential for soil at the playground to be above cleanup criteria, we recommend that additional samples should be collected to fully understand the amount and the extent of the manganese contamination. If needed, we also recommend it should be cleaned up and the community notified of the results. Manganese in the areas like parks and ballparks are where the community might frequent is part of the bigger concern. We have that testing to date has provided us enough information for the community to understand the total risk of their health. I would also like to ask the council for permission to invite Denise to the next city meeting, possibly over Zoom or the phone or somehow. I'm going to try to get somebody to come in person again. She lives in Michigan, so it's kind of hard for her.
Council, I know usually that's out of our normal way we do it, but I think since we had the Sierra Club here last month, I think it'd be kind of a continuation of them being here, and I would be open to it if you guys are to allow a Zoom call.
Yeah, I think that worked out good to have Mila here with us in person
Yeah, I'm
and
gonna-
Denise on the phone. Mila can come again, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying for.
The thing I want to get, are you done yet, or are you still going?
There's a couple more things I'd like to address, but if you have a question,
Well, I was
go
going to
ahead.
ask, have they had any success in reaching out to the state? Because I know they sent some stuff to Yadnak's office, and I kind of am curious to know what the conversation has been like for them compared to what it's been like for us.
With Sierra Club?
Yeah.
With the Sierra Club in general, they sent, you guys probably read the email that she sent out.
Yeah,
It was-
I saw that she sent it, I just didn't know she got a response.
I don't think she has, to be honest with you, because I talk to her every day and that wasn't brought up.
I mean, we can ask her if she comes next meeting, but does she think there's any value in her discussing this with them to see if there's some way that the two of them can come to some sort of,
That's a possibility.
But I would like them to talk to these people who are, again, higher up the food chain with regards to health safety. I think it would be beneficial for us if they could hear this.
Yeah, I understand that, because without them on board, we got no paddle. We're stuck in the boat, out in the middle.
That's who I would like to have listen to her.
And I understand that. So I'm gonna do what I can on my part to make that happen for us. I think we need to be open to other ideas. Every company's out to make a dollar. Every company's out to save a dollar. In this situation, we don't want the city to spend $80,000, no matter how safe we think we need to feel. We honestly don't think that's money well spent. We think we could spend this money way better with lower cost and achieve the same goal that we're looking for. Our trust issue right now, though, to get kind of back on board, and then I'll let you ask some more questions, is I'm speaking on behalf of the residents that are affected. We're not comfortable with brownfield. We weren't comfortable from the beginning. We're not comfortable. I really don't need to go into it unless y'all want me to. But I'll just move on and just say we're not comfortable. We would feel better if we did look at other recommendations. And like I said, I did talk to Denise, and we discussed possibly even getting that lower with somebody with a different firm. Well, she's already cut in half $42,000 off her recommendation off of brownfield. That's with using brownfield. Now, if we don't use brownfield because we don't trust brownfield, and we come together as a community and decide what's best, not just us, you guys involved as well. You guys are involved too. It's all our money.
We're certainly open to there being other companies brought in. We started.
But it's the thing of getting the EPA to ride on board. The EPA.
Not only ride on board, but I would like them to come back and
You've seen my emails that I sent to the EPA in the beginning, and I was very nice and very, very detailed in what was going on. And they stonewalled me and pushed me off and pushed me off. This whole process, this last 3 months of the phone calls and it's just everything. It's the insurance company now. We don't trust what's going on. We don't know who's in our yards.
Yeah.
It's just the list keeps going on. It keeps getting fishier and fishier and fishier.
So what we can do with the recommendation of Sierra Club, that they want to provide 3 different companies that would do some sort of testing, we can do a bid process.
I think that's smart.
Or request for proposal, I
I
mean,
mean, if it's,
the city originally got brownfields to try and find somebody totally independent, not connected with Carus, not connected with EPA, not connected with Department of Public Health. They could set from the outset, doesn't mean they would have all of the answers, but it started the ball rolling. And at
Correct.
least some of the things they got, and Sierra Club's also weighed in with a lot of information too. We just got some of that today, that maybe that will, as Brent said, move the needle with the EPA. But at least as of this time, as Jamie has said, that it would certainly be helpful to have them on, because while it's not determinative as to whether the city could get paid, to have the blessing of the EPA, Department of Public Health, and US EPA, however, it would certainly be more helpful in moving forward to know that they were on the same page and concurred. Additional testing would be helpful.
we're hitting walls. Our problem is we're sending the emails to the right people. We're complaining to the right people. They're saying there's not enough of us complaining, but that's not true. What's happening is we're getting emails back, like I'll use I keep getting it wrong. Lance Yednock, he sent a very short message back to my daughter's very long email, and it's unfortunate she's not here to talk today, so I will talk on her behalf. And all he is doing is forwarding 3 attachments. He's forwarding one from the EPA, the one that you guys have in your hands is the same one that he's forwarding out to the
Same
residents.
response to,
Correct, to anything. That is his response. And then he sent her another paper, and it confused me, and I said, write him back and ask him if you're supposed to fill this out. He said, well, I don't know. I would do it. You don't know, you sent it to him. So then you call the health department, and I've been down that road. I've been told one thing, you've been told another thing. My neighbor Eric Diaz, he was told one thing, same thing I was told. You guys were all told something different. It's case by case. I just want to bring up, I know the filter results, I know we gave them to you. I just have one that I'd like to bring up that's very important. He couldn't be here tonight. This young man, he lives at 1663 Crozet. He just had two newborn twins. And his dad had contacted me about getting his filter tested. And I said, no problem. I would take care of that. His results came back high. He's got 3. We have barium, copper, lead, magnesium, zinc, and mercury again. And 3 of them are very high. They're highlighted. Lead is at 99.2 in this young man's filter. Manganese is at 78.9. Zinc, which is highlighted in yellow, is 4,270. And mercury is 0.162. That is not the only filter we found mercury and zinc levels that were above what they normally should be. My question is, there's a bigger picture here. You may see it different than I do, but I think I'm going to try to paint. Since day one, with the samples, the air samples and all that, and it's all on my Facebook, the times and stuff, when that they did it. They didn't do it very long each night. They didn't do it through the night when the fire was smoldering. With their, I'm talking about with their air monitors hanging out of their cars. That was what they had. There's a map of where they were at. Nobody wanted to come sample anything up by our homes. Only the people that got things sampled were the people that were here for the first press release. Because we kind of forced it on them. Other than that, I don't know if we would have even got our stuff sampled. Because the simple fact is that Carus Chemical was the people that came out who assessed our properties. They came out with their engineers, they came out with their salespeople, they went into our people's homes, and they told everybody that everything was all right. And I think they told all you guys it was all right too. Because you're going to believe the person who makes the product. They're the only person in the world, and they're gonna get bigger. They're getting bigger. They control the whole market. And it seems like it's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. It just seems bigger. Seems like I've been fighting a no-winning battle this whole time. I've been moving small mountains, and my people's getting bigger because they're realizing what's really going on. And I just hope that you guys can look at it in a different aspect, because I know some people in this room know more things than others. And there's some things being kept from me because there's a reason it's being kept from me. But eventually, it'll all come out. I just don't understand what else we're supposed to do. We would keep getting the same old story. People that's gone to the hospital complain, and I keep hearing the same thing. You got to keep trying to tell them, I was involved in the Carus chemical fire. I lived by the fire. They'll tell them, nope, you don't live, you're too far away. Or, oh, nope, it's not that. There's always an excuse, but they're handing out inhalers to all these kids. There's people in this room with kids. They're having heart problems like I'm having. Palpitations. Days I can't breathe right. Something's going on. And we really do need to find out. If it's their emissions, then we need to tighten them up. And I also want to I know people got things to talk about, but are we working on emergency plans? Is Carus working on the law that's put in place for us citizens? Their evacuation plan, their emergency plan. If this happens again, I know they're reassuring us, but if this happens again, the plan needs to be put in place. Our fire chief needs to know where he's going to put us people. Because like he said, where was he going to put us? Honestly, we don't know, but we need to know. Because anything like this could happen in the future. They're getting bigger. They're not light industrial no more, and I'm tired of people saying that too. They're heavy industrial. They just added $20 million before that fire. That's to pump production up. You're going to see more truck traffic, and I don't know if the city's making a dime off how much they're hauling out. I don't know that part of it. But it's awfully funny that got let through, and I know it went through the right way, unlike the Apollo. It's just weird in a residential town. And one other thing that was kind of alarming to me is after somebody had sent me the video of the explosion, we didn't hear an alarm coming out of that building. No, but them people were walking out of that, them workers were walking out of that building like there's nothing was going on. Like it was just a stroll. And there was no beeping, there was no sirens, there was no noise to alert the residents that live next to that chemical plant of any kind of alarm. And we had a gentleman here that talked about that. He found out by the boom. He should have found out by an alarm. You guys can check the video out. There's no alarm. In the Apollo, I just want to bring it up. Is the alarm going to the fire department now? Did they fix that? Does anybody know that? Because when the Apollo alarm was going off for hours, and I can't seem to get the police report on it.
I don't believe it's going to fire.
Not anymore.
No alarms go to the cell. They go to dispatch.
Well, wherever, but it's not going to Carus control panel like it was before. Because you know it was, Brent knows it was, Jordan Crane knows it was. That was wrong. I'm sorry to say it, that was wrong. That definitely, I hope that's addressed. I hope we get, we need our infrastructure. If we get a fire behind us in that Apollo Center, I know it's more than 62,000 square feet, and I know Jerry knows the laws, and I know he knows when he goes up there, he's going to have trouble getting water. And if he does get a hydrant, it's even close enough to him, it's going to blow, because our hydrants blow all the time. We've got one down in the corner, been leaking since last summer. It's still got flags around it. I'm just stating facts. I'm not trying to, I want change. That's what I want. I want to work hand in hand with the city. I don't want to attack nobody no more. I want to find out the truth, and wherever that truth leads me, it leads me. But I appreciate you letting me speak. If you have any questions, Brent?
No, I would just reiterate that I hope the Sierra Club can make contact with those on the state and federal level.
I'm
Trying to assist us in just moving.
trust me, they're doing everything they can for
And
us.
then possibly them stepping into a testing role themselves.
Right.
No, that's my desire, but.
That's what I talked to Denise about, if she could give us alternatives before I even brought it up, to give us options. And you know, we do need to do it sooner than later, but I think we can wait 2 more weeks to decide that, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, they can reach out now and start that process.
Well, yeah, they'll do that with the EPA,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about with our meeting and
We
stuff.
even other options, we kind of need, you know, it's like shooting a basketball but the hoop's closed. We kind of need that to be open so that we know
Right.
whatever we send them is
Right.
going to be, you know, taken seriously.
And you know, the thing with me with holding back my filter results, my first set around of filter results, that was just probably me being pig-headed. And I got a lot of money invested, of my own money in this. This isn't just, I'm not asking nobody for nothing. A lot of my money goes into this. And I have a lot of time that's invested in this. I help the ones that need the help. I'm not in it to fake anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I want to know what's in my yard. I've had 3 filters tested and I'm still pulling stuff out.
The only reason I said that is I want to make sure that they have everything that is out there. So if there is something that sparks something with them where it's like, oh, maybe we should go back, that they would have it. But that's all I meant by that. So-
It just seems like everybody's for Carus. I hate to say that, but every agency, and I don't know if it's because of the product, because potassium permanganate is, maybe the newspaper needs to do a little more digging on that, but that stuff's like gold around here. I mean, if you guys, they're making millions. They name the price. They got procurements, emergency procurements, where they have to have this fund, and if the price goes up, that money's there. They control the whole market. And I don't understand how they complain about big oil. What about big chemical? Because I'm telling you, how does somebody own this much commodity of the world? Of the world. They're in the Washington. They're everywhere. This stuff's being pumped in everywhere.
Alderman Thompson's behind you like a kid.
Yeah,
looking
like-
for questions, so.
Well, I just want, no, I just want to get back on track with something that was original. We do straw votes for a reason. And since we have audience members here that have a vested interest on where we do testing, I would like to see a straw vote from the audience. Obviously, this is not near everybody that's affected, but I'd like everybody to see, including the aldermen, how many people out here trust the Sierra Club. You want us to look at the Sierra Club. But you understand why I just asked that question. Now the aldermen know what you want, regardless of what the results are. I'd rather try to find an angle, and I hate using that term, but I'd rather find an angle that is something that's palatable to you. And we live at those results. We have to live with them, and you would have to live with them. But if it's somebody you trust, maybe that can get us over these humps. Because that's where we're going down that path now, Jamie, of you have so many angles that you don't trust. I want you to find something you do trust.
Right. And
So-
I'd love to put our trust in you guys.
Obviously,
Really would.
well, but this has got to be beyond us. And if it comes down to something we can get from the Sierra Club, I'm sure the council will at least,
In regard to
yeah,
trusting.
think about it. Yeah, I mean, think about it, and especially if it's cheaper. But inevitably, it's not about us recouping the cost. We still don't know who the insurance
Yeah,
company is.
I mean, I didn't imagine that.
If we didn't have, if the city didn't have concern about all the residents and wasn't working to try and keep them under trust, all the investigation that's been done, some of the answers you may not like, some of the opinions you may not like, but just look at all the information that we have reached out for and obtained. Some of it may not be what anyone wants to hear, or maybe there's reasons as to why people can disagree with it. But you've gotten through through the persistence of the city, and Brent's been very instrumental on that, you've now gotten at least letters in writing. You couldn't get anything in writing. You say your answer, you couldn't get an answer, at least you got something in writing now from the Department of Public Health to work from the EPA, both state and federal. Now, you've got something to build from. If you've got somebody you trust, like Sierra Club, they send it to them and see if they can change get them to revisit their position. Or move the needle.
It's already sent.
Well, then the city can help to facilitate it as it is.
I did. On the day of the fire, I was here when they had the press conference, and they did say that they were willing, Carus Chemical is willing to have a town hall meeting and explain everything that was going on up there, and they're part of it. I never heard one suggestion from anyone else here to invite Carus to a town hall meeting.
We have invited the EPA to come.
They have recused
Carus Chemical. They were here and said they would come to a town hall meeting
Yes,
the
they were.
day of the fire,
I remember
the day they embarrassed you.
Yep.
I was here.
Yep.
Now,
I would like that.
We've asked plenty of times for that.
We haven't heard anything since.
Yep,
now you guys have the power to ask Carus.
they have been in
They
there.
have asked them.
Just to point out, we had the power to ask who the insurance company is too when we were denied.
Yeah,
So with that being said, I don't know what Carus is gonna say, they won't even tell us who their insurance carrier is. So you can't file a complaint against it with the state of Illinois.
okay, can I ask a question?
Find out what they're gonna say.
We did ask them.
Why doesn't the lame newspaper put in there that the residents affected would like Carus to come and they declined to come? Instead of saying Carus is this great community ass partner, that they're not.
And saying.
My whole yard looks like a speckled, I don't even know what the hell. I'm out there trying to weed my garden, they're almost in tears. Everything, every piece of decor I've had from every vacation is ruined. And when I talked to that Davies group, when they wanted to know why my car wasn't home, that they were driving around and couldn't find my car and left me numerous voicemails, I finally called the idiots back and I said, well, let me tell you why my car ain't home. Because it's in Peoria with me and my husband and my son for the past 15 days in pools. Stay off my property. And they told me, they asked what was affected on my property, because they knew I had a claim on my car. And I started telling them in all this yard, thousands of dollars worth of flagstone around our pool alone. I know we have over $800 around. And it is speckled. They said they're not interested in that, just what's permanently attached to the house. So my thousands of dollars worth of items, decor, I'm sorry, that's important. I have a pool, I love to entertain at my house, and I like to sit outside and enjoy the peace and serene of my wonderful neighbors and neighborhood.
Still your property, whether it's movable or not.
Exactly.
That's right. Well, not to them, none of that's important. And I wish somebody could contact Mr. Brownfield or Carus and find out what I'm supposed to do with that pool water. He told me isn't safe to dump in my neighbor's yard because boy, pool season is coming.
The worst of this, it's about ready to fall into my pool.
Yeah, because usually
So,
we have to
what are we
drain the
doing?
water off.
So I gotta pay it, my cost of course, but Carus can pollute everything, have a chemical release all over the town, everything's good with that, but now I can't dump a little bit of water somewhere.
Sample.
See if we can.
Yeah, I better grab one out of my pool, because I didn't have a.
My question is I had asked like 2 meetings ago to have that Apollo building inspected by the city inspector because it had a hole in it and things like that. And I know over the last few weeks, I smelled a couple outdoor fires. And I don't know who in our neighborhood doesn't know that we could explode, but could someone please like put a notice out there that says, please don't do a fire until they get the ceiling fixed? Because come on, like, let's get that handled. Thank
Yeah, we
you.
have a structural engineer coming as well there, so.
I mean, maybe just, and I hate the fact that we can't have like an outdoor fire now because now we might explode. I don't really like that. I wish I would have known before, but I think it's kind of ill-advised of anyone in our neighborhood to have a outdoor fire while we have a building that is housing an extremely flammable powder.
Well,
I mean-
they're claiming that powder's not in there. That's-
But there's
that's-
someone sitting out that building all day long. There's something inside that building.
We know that.
And if they told us 4 trucks and 15 have left it, I don't believe them. And I think that's sad. I mean,
I was told that the place for the last 3 years is, not a rumor or not, but this is what I was told by somebody who was in the building. And they said they have them white bags and super totes or whatever they call them. That product, they said it wasn't labeled, but they were all over it there. And I know when the police were there for that fire alarm, they were up in that building all over it. They know what's in there. We'd like to know what's in there too.
I just like to make sure that, like, as we already know, they've been allowed to move that stuff from here or there without placardization. They could have blown up our entire neighborhood. No one seemed to care then. I'm just saying now, like, I would like, until we can move, that we just not have fires and until we know what's in there so my family does not explode. Like, they have a hole in their roof and they have all this powder in there. Come on. You don't put a match next to flammable powder. And it's bad enough that I will tell you, out of our ground that was already done, 75% of it is now fully polluted, and the EPA doesn't want to test, thank you. And our furnace filter we had changed, and now it's in the 75th percentile from being changed. So the whole fact is we can go on and on and on and say about how much they want to test, but the truth is they're poisoning us every single day. It's not just the fire. So, I mean, those of us who want to sell our houses are kind of stuck for right now because we're just getting poisoned more every single day.
Yeah, they could buy me out any day now.
And we're fine with they buy us out too because it's like they're poisoning us every day, and anyone who doesn't think that is absolutely ridiculous.
Carus has got power. There's a lot of power behind them, a lot of political power. They're not where they're at without that. Numerous Homeland Defense contracts. It's big. It's big. These guys are big.
Another question,
Yeah.
So, have you guys contacted Lance Yednock, like the citizens have, and trying to get contact from him? This is a perfect opportunity from you guys getting pushback from Carus, they're getting pushback from Carus. Lance is needed to hear more than ever then.
We've been talking.
We've had multiple contacts with Lance Yednock, my most recent one this morning. Indeed, some of those contacts are what in working with Alderman Thompson with the Department of Insurance to assist Jamie and all the residents in having an appropriate manner in which to file objections. I conferred with Mr. Yednock this morning to see if there was anything else, any other ideas that he had. But he was also aware of what the Department of Public Health, or not yet, we didn't have Department, that I talked with Yednock almost before every meeting and sometimes in between.
You guys need him more than ever now that you guys are getting pushback as a city, because you guys are all citizens here too.
Well, we
You guys are all part of
Did you hear
this.
that yet from IHP?
Yeah, we got it.
You wondered if we were, and we have, and it will be answered as part of our next FOIA, a detailed response that we sent to Mr. Yednock in regard to the Department of Insurance, which I think that's been discussed with some of your residents, that was facilitated by inquiries the city made in your behalf, because we were not satisfied with the manner in which your claims were being addressed, and with them hiding behind a curtain, so to speak, with who their insurance carrier is. We share your pain with.
I thank you for that. Because I know that's what.
Because you guys are all part of the community too. You guys
That's
are
what
your
we've been
people is
trying to-
affected. It's just Lance, you guys need Lance more than ever now, just
Well,
because both sides.
We all need everybody. It's
Yeah.
just, we should all be pulling on the rope the same direction. That's what we're, as a city, we're trying to get the residents to realize. We're trying to pull on the same way. And at least in some of the things, Yednock's been very helpful. I've heard some issues with Yed and this and that, but I know in some things he's been helpful. He referred on, I can report, this was gonna come up anyway, but we hadn't gotten to that yet. Again, we raised the question. He referred on the material, the detailed material that Mr. Bader and I put together in response to his question last week, which was about 15 pages in total, including the attachments. That's now been referred to the Department of Insurance and to the Attorney General's office. Because we were getting responses from representatives of the Department of Insurance that they had a difficult time knowing who the complaint was against without knowing who the insurance company was.
I think it would be important for him to be a part of this, because then he could build
He
a relationship
has-
with the community. But on top of it, Sierra Club, so he gets a bigger picture than just what is being fed him by whatever.
We have kept Senator Representative Yednock involved, and we have also reached out, and I talked again today with Senator Resin's office. And both of them have assured me that they are doing everything that they can But they, as Jamie said, hit the wall, they are right now, at a loss to make any other recommendations as to what the city can do to help you folks with the status of the present position of the EPA and now the Department of Public Health as well.
And then I urge everybody, including you guys in town here, there's a lobby day coming up, I think April 19th for environmental down in state capitol. Perfect opportunity to talk to your legislators and whatnot about what's going on. 25th is real estate day.
No, I appreciate you doing, you and Brett doing that.
Jim has summarized what we can do on a municipal level, but there are things that we can't do. I should say we can't do. We can discuss with state and federal, but we need them to buy in.
Right, and that's totally understandable. I get that 100%. It's just that we can't get you to open your eyes and see what's going on. There's no way we're gonna get them to open their eyes.
Our eyes are open, and that's why we're doing what we can to try and help the residents.
I appreciate that.
There's a lot going on, Jamie, you're more familiar than most people. There's a lot going on. I'm sorry, we can't call everybody. I don't know how else to put it out there. Jamie can attest to the hours upon hours of time Attorney McFedrin and myself spent with the Department of Insurance, and we're still, as of this morning, 5 citizen complaints were filed. I'm looking at it right in front of me, and the number one question is, name the insurance company you're complaining about. And the shame of this is, we don't know. Because they haven't told us, they refuse to. So Lance Yednock's aware of that because he got calls from the Department of Insurance. And so is Sue Resin.
And from us.
And from us. But we are as low on that tree, and if they know it's time, I know Jamie's called out, and I know I hear you guys, it's time to be making them calls to those people. They're above us. We can push and push and push. But when it comes from Lance Yednock's or Sue Resin's or somebody else's office, all of a sudden, now everybody cares, and that's what we need to happen. Don't stop. Don't think it doesn't make a difference. Well, I know you're not going to stop things.
No matter what, I ain't stopping.
But there are a lot of people out there make one call and you feel that's enough, and it's not.
It's not.
It's not. You're not going to get any.
I'm on the phone almost every day. Even though I'm getting ping ponged, hell, I'm still on the phone.
Jamie Pett has a question.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I have a little different perspective whenever Jamie's doing.
Yeah, me too.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was done. I was stuck there.
Do you trust the EPA?
No.
No?
What they had done.
Illinois or US, you don't trust them? So that puts us in the spot then, because I don't.
Here's the problem. If you didn't get your yard cleaned up by their super fund, and basically what they did was cap our yard instead of redemiate our yard. They put a clay cap on it with a little bit of. We've had issues. People's had water issues. I've told them about it. I've got no power in my pool. The list goes on. They don't want to help. There's an issue with the contractor and his daughter. His daughter was the project manager, so when the lady down in wherever she lives, Geneva, the EPA lady, Collier Deminar, is that right? Damari. They would contact her, and then they would feed her some other bullshit of what really wasn't going on. We breathed dust for 2 months. By then, trucks went back and forth. Emailed, can you please water the road? You got the trucks. They wouldn't do it. They would blame it on you. Then you would blame it on UC because UC was doing the job. And it's like, UC's not up here making the dust. City's not making the dust. It's your truck traffic making all the dust.
Actually, UC took initiative with groundwater.
And they did too. They did. But it's just, I wish the city would hand out maybe like a questionnaire on how they feel their Superfund project went. And you could really get a feel on how almost all of us feel about it. Maybe the newer crews are doing better now, but when it rains, it sprinkles, we got puddles. It goes nowhere. It's sad.
That kind of puts us in a tough spot where both agencies are saying that they don't need testing, and Sierra says we do need testing.
Well, here's where my problem comes in. I came in and I told the boys, after I got booted out of the second press conference, I ended up meeting with the guys at my house. And I know the time, and I got the guy's phone number on there when he was there. Mysteriously, I was told they sampled my deck. We took samples off your deck. I said, okay, great. I said, I don't trust you guys, so I'm just letting you know that. You know, and I'm an honest guy. I ain't gonna bullshit nobody. And they said, insured, we got you. I said, you got it off the deck, the pool deck? Yep. Well, all of a sudden a picture appeared, and it wasn't given to me, and it's not in any FOIA report I can find, and it shows a picture of a bottle and a swab in front of my house on the concrete. That isn't where I was told my test was taken. Now all of a sudden I got a picture of my pool deck. Mysteriously, got a picture of my pool deck. I had an EPA gentleman, Region 5 top guy, tell me, from the Illinois EPA, tell me that I'm crazy, this is my house, they only took one sample, then I find out there's 3 swabs that they took from my house. They had 3 separate bottles, they took it out and crammed it into into one bottle. Somebody else crossed out the 1, or the 3, put a 1, didn't initial it. This is where we're talking chain of custody. I know all about it. You don't do that. If a doctor signs something, he signs his initial if he scribbles out. I mean, this is supposed to be a form they know how to fill out.
A legal document.
That's where my problem comes in. You know, being told one thing, then being told another. And then the times on the pictures don't match up with the times that they were there. And with the phone call that I got, then I knew they were there. And I met them.
You're asking us to have an open mind. You should have an open mind with that. That's a federal and Illinois agency, right? And we're reading the reports. I have to believe what they're saying to us.
Oh, I understand.
So that like it puts us in a spot to where you know, Sierra's requiring or asking for extra testing. But if we get results, what's that going to do if the EPA says it's not in the range? You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing. I got hundreds and hundreds of hours of digging through a lot of paperwork.
I know you do.
And there's a lot of weird things that I'm finding. And slow but sure they'll come out. I'm still waiting for more stuff. I understand 100% what you're saying, but you just got to have an open mind to say, hey, something don't smell right around here. You know, that's all I'm asking you to do.
Well, here, like, you know, just where Carus releases the cause of the fire, well, interesting enough, that the fire marshal hasn't issued a statement yet.
The funny thing is, the EPA named the cause of that fire on the 17th was an accident. It's in this paperwork with all the other mumbo jumbo about how they're saying 1 million pounds went up in the air, lit up on fire, and ended up just being washed away with water and crap when it landed on us.
But EPA and OSHA are still ongoing with their investigation.
And the thing is
not EPA, right?
the EPA did not come out and look at our homes. No hazmat team came out to look at the green, purple, green, that they know was falling on us. It's in their final report. I have their final report from the 17th.
OSHA is still investigating. I spoke with their investigators recently today. Same with the state fire marshal. They still have not concluded their investigation.
And I find that funny. And I also find it funny that Carus' third party has not came out with a report. They hired a third party outfit to investigate that, and then they come out with that. I mean, I'm scratching my head on
I
that.
only mentioned that so that don't suggest, I'm sure you haven't, but I wouldn't want anyone to think that just because Carus came out with that report, that that's necessarily the report of the state fire marshal or in regards to the ocean investigation.
You also got to realize if this does come to a lawsuit, we need help, and you're our help. I mean, I know you can't legally protect us or anything, but we need guidance. You know, we need you to if a lawyer calls you, be open with them and you know, talk to them. Don't be against the residents, because I hear that's what happens, so.
We are not against the residents.
I mean-
All of us, if maybe some don't express it, we all feel for you, truly, we do. It's a tough spot to be in though. So like to me, I don't see how the city should have to pay for those results.
I
It
don't
should be
either.
Carus pay.
100%. That's how we feel too.
If they hire the PR firm to handle the way they should fight.
We don't even know if they're gonna pay us yet.
Which is ridiculous. That's where there should be a class action lawsuit against them. You know, one listening to all this, again, I feel for you, man. I do, because if it was on my building, I'd be upset.
It's on your car, your cars.
I'd be upset. So, like, I'd be complaining to them. I'd be protesting.
Oh, you better believe it's coming. Hey, this guy don't like winter. When it gets sunny out, this guy will be camping out, trust me.
They are not being a good neighbor as they claim to be.
No, they're
They are
not.
not being transparent as they claim to be.
No, they haven't been
I
transparent
recognize something.
with you guys from the beginning, and that's what's upsetting. You know, it started with the Apollo building, and then it progressed.
You know what, if you go back, and you keep on bringing the Apollo building, I get it to the backyard, like, I straight up, nobody knew what was going on there, and maybe we failed back, when that goes back years before I was on the council, I think I've been here like 20 years. I didn't know what was going on there, so, you know, that was a mistake by the city, I think everybody would admit that, right? We feel bad about that, but we are learning from this.
Big time.
Right?
I know you are. I'm learning too.
I didn't think I'd be running against this or handling this. I'm not an expert. I'm not a scientist. I don't know what these reports mean. People have explained it to me.
Right.
So that's where it should go to a higher agency. Who are we? We've been doing this for 5 meetings.
Well, you can have their agency.
We've had public
You can have.
meetings every 2 weeks for the last 2 months.
Okay, can I say something? But doesn't it concern you if we have soil testing done at the Sierra Club that says our soil is already 75% polluted and it was just redone 2 years ago? Doesn't that tell you enough that the EPA doesn't even care about us anyway? I mean, I get that there's nothing you guys can do. The EPA won't take it, the federal EPA won't take it, but does that diminish your entire trust in that organization? Because it does to me. Because every day they're polluting my yard. Every day a little bit more. So in 2 years, we are 75% polluted. Even Brent's report says, do not plant anything in this, do not eat anything out of this. We're in that boat. And the EPA does not care. And for anyone in this room that thinks that we can take this great and wonderful information to them and they're gonna do anything, I think we're living in a huge lie. Because they don't care. And I don't know if we can test and maybe get a lawsuit and maybe get a little bit of money for what we're gonna lose on our property value, but I think that's about all we're gonna accomplish here. I think they're gonna continue to poison our city, and there's nothing we can do about it. We're the cost of everyone else's clean drinking water. That's it. 80% of US's drinking water comes from that building, and we're the cost. Everyone who lives in LaSalle, and if you think that the EPA, federal government's gonna do anything about that, they aren't. They've already told us. They don't care. We're the cost. And I think someone should put that in the paper. We are the cost of the world's drinking water. Our families, our health, our pets, we're the cost.
You're the governing body. They can change that.
I don't even think they can. I mean, they want to, and I applaud that you feel sorry for us, but there's not a whole lot you can do. You're fighting a $1 billion machine.
It starts right here, though. You join forces with the citizens and make the change happen.
Amen to that. I'm gonna go back to Jamie real quick. I appreciate the conversation tonight.
Thank you. Little different me. I'm learning too, guys. I'm learning too.
What? Hi, I'm Pat Walters. Resident and now affected resident since I've gotten my test back. So I have a little bit different take on the EPA and how the city might interact with it. So have we asked specifically the EPA, what will it take for you to change your minds?
No, because we just got these responses from them, so.
Well, we have asked if there's anything else we can do.
Yeah, we did ask for their opinions on if they had their, we basically said, is there a way that you think the test should be done? And then would you conduct it that way? And
Okay, in Ohio, and Jim, you probably know this better than I do, because you've spoken with people in Ohio.
It's been a while because I haven't spoken with them in quite some time, but I am aware that, you know, they had some issues too, but the EPA there,
They changed their mind. They sued. They now are with the Justice Department in a lawsuit against them.
I'm aware that the Attorney General of the state of Ohio filed suit quite some time ago for the resident. I have a copy of that complaint, and they sued the Norfolk and Southern. But again, those are the agencies that what Brett was trying to say that we asked them to reach out to.
Right. Well,
to get because that's, we have endeavored to reach out. Okay, that's what we've gone through, representative. I also talked with the Attorney General representative who handled the Morris case, but they generally, and I don't know for sure, I don't want to speak for her, what I understand, they generally take the ball once the EPA believes there's a reason to go forward.
right, well, we know that the EPA can change their minds because in Ohio, they did. So for me, I would like to know specifically, what is it going to take? They can't say that all of the other factors make things too unable to put things into Carus's ballpark, because what are in my tests are lead, what else? Zinc, barium, copper, lots of copper, yeah. Okay, here it is. So barium, copper, lead, manganese, and zinc.
And where do you live?
I live at 2273 Bartley Street, 2 miles away. So either on that day, there was not enough testing done and everybody was polluted because we don't know, because normally I only tested mine because I've been coming here every week because I was concerned. My neighbors might not know that they've been polluted. And I'll tell you what else. I have maybe 4 filters from before, and those filters, I'd like those tested. So maybe I'll have to pay to get it tested again, but when I do, if they contain the same metals, then it's not just that one incident that we're being polluted with, it's on a regular basis, and we need to know that.
At what levels were those coming? Did they come in there? Under?
No, they were under, but the point is, I looked each element up, and they don't exist anywhere naturally except in the ground. They said if you find them in a person's home or like in your furnace filter, it's only because you live near a plant that's emitting these things. So there's no way, I don't know how the EPA can say that there's no way they can put that on Carus. I mean, lead is not a naturally occurring element in the air. And as far as the chain of custody, who's questioning? You want to know, did I sprinkle some what?
Yeah, right.
Lex Luthor dust on my filter? Did Jamie? Did the Sierra Club? Who's questioning?
That would be the EPA.
What was their question?
I don't know that they have it specifically listed here, but whatever testing we do, we want to make sure that the EPA is going to even accept it. So the fact that they require us to go through whatever their chain of custody would be, of which I'm not super familiar with it, we want to make sure that we process it in a way where they're not going to turn it at the door and say, well, we can't take that because of X, Y, or Z reason.
So, Jim, help me out here. Chain of custody means I sign a document that says I remove this on thus and such a date, I put it in a garbage bag, I secured it, I passed it on to Jamie, who signed something, says, I picked it up at Pat's house, I cut it into 4 little squares with gloves on, and then I proceeded to take it to the chemical place.
That's part of it, and I think what they are saying is, we're just, remember, we are the messenger on these things. We will make, because we just got them, full copies available to everyone of what the EPA response is. We asked, we're seeking the truth. What would any additional testing, in your opinion, be helpful to the residents in the area? They are expressing concerns, notwithstanding everything that's been done. We'll show you, we've talked about the answers, but they say it in much longer language than we're talking about here tonight. And we'll give you what their reasons are, what they're not. You may not accept them, Sierra Club may have other reasons as to not to accept them, then I think you take it back to them and to others to see if they will change their mind and reconsider their position. You mentioned Ohio, everything is different. The contaminants, the poisons in Ohio, everything was different than it is here.
Yeah.
The principle is the same as far as wanting to try and educate your higher up officials so that the ones with the resources, not the small city, resources such as the EPA, the Department of Public Health. Department of Public Health has its name for a reason. They're to be concerned about.
The EPA in Ohio said that everything was fine, if you don't recall
Right in
that.
the beginning.
They originally did, that's right.
Right.
But then further investigation, they changed
Well,
their
it's,
position.
yeah,
And that-
the problem with the EPA is they're calling all clear before any tests come back, and they're gone. Our tests were not back. I got them in like February. When they were done from the lab, it was the 17th.
But Jamie, we sent the Sierra Club first round of results to the EPA. They considered that in their recent final opinion. You haven't read that all yet, you should see it. Now, we're not saying that something else can't be done, but the city has done what it can. Everything we've been given by you, correct, Brent, has been sent to them.
Okay, so we're talking about sending, a good segue for me. So we're talking about sending things piecemeal. I've talked to Brent about mapping. The Sierra Club has started a map that shows every designated spot where tests were taken, and then we need to designate what the test was and what the results were. So that's the kind of information that can change the EPA's mind. Not this week we send this, and this week we send that. Is the council, let me ask the council, can I take a straw vote? Would you be willing to participate in a mapping project?
They can vote on what they want, but I think we need more investigations of what exactly you're
Right.
doing by that.
Mapping, putting a designated map that people could see that's interactive, that you could click on 2273 Bartley Street. You can see that a furnace filter was tested and you can see my results. So that the EPA has one whole big picture to look at.
And Pat, who's gonna do that?
Well, the city of LaSalle has a vested interest in working with the Sierra
Yes,
Club.
yes, we do, but you have to have permission for everything that you're gonna get that information from. You know what I mean? So those people have to provide it.
Right, well,
I'm thinking,
yeah, I'm thinking that we can assist in that, and the Sierra Club can assist in that, but.
I was thinking the Sierra Club was the one that
Right.
wanted to do this, that's what I'm
Right,
asking.
but the Sierra Club has started it.
Right,
Right, but we shouldn't think that somebody else is always gonna do our work for us.
well, but we don't have,
We've not thought that. If we did, then we wouldn't have done all the investigation and all the testing that we've done, even hiring an independent contractor, which no one else did. And we've tried to be open to, and we still are.
Well, and then I'm trying to ask the city, are you willing to take that next step? Are you willing to,
The council will have to speak for itself, probably needs to investigate it more and see what the costs are, who's gonna do it, who's gonna control it, and what are the chances of getting reimbursed.
okay, well, I'm asking.
The city of LaSalle is gonna do whatever it can to help out its residents.
Do we have an IT resource that can do that? Because we've kind of asked that in the very first meeting, where those of us that had some health concerns initially, that the city would be able to track, like, you lived at this address, you were affected.
I feel bad, we haven't got back to that, but given that we're considering all these different air quality tests, one of those tests, they come with a survey that's not to be complete. So we thought if we were going to do that, we do it all in one fell swoop. It's still on our back of our mind to send out something to the community so we can get it registered, who was living where and stuff like that. I just didn't know if we do it all at the same time, we survey the community, or if it has to be its own separate event.
Oh, and just to reiterate about your test, our filter was post the explosion. So we took our filter out that day, of course, and changed it. The filter that we had tested that was well above was after. So anyone who, like I said, anyone who thinks it's not happening every single day is in denial.
And I have before filters, they haven't been tested yet,
I've
but I
tested-
have them.
I've tested one, I got one from Dimmick, that's pretty bad. Sweet old lady brought it to me. I got one from Oglesby, and I also got one from Peru. They're all showing signs of this copper, barium, lead, magnesium, and a couple with the mercury.
And is anyone running a tested with the EPA events? You know, they test the kids for lead every year. And has anyone run a cross-reference to say that the lead that might be coming from this is affecting those results when they test the school children? That would be a perfect analogy to say, could it be that the lead is really not from older homes, that it could be from this?
And my home isn't older, so.
Pat, to answer your question a little bit more direct, if you want us to keep moving forward or whatever, this is our fourth meeting, so 8 weeks we've been dealing with this. Bob has encouraged the residents not to stop. We're not going to stop either. We're not going to stop having our meetings. We're not going to stop. So yes, we will take the next step. We will keep moving forward with the residents.
Well, that's part of it. I mean, mapping, you need action items, not just everybody, we come here, we talk. So what? You know, you need.
Well, we are doing things.
We actually have had a lot of action items. Jim's been working harder since this than he has all year.
Jim always works hard.
Yeah, Jim has to listen to me 3 times a day.
One point you actually see some movement on is the whole insurance thing. You know, you've got a lot of, more people involved in that, and, they're definitely investigating to see if this is on the up and up. Why are they not revealing who their insurance are?
But I think if you check a lot of other areas too, the mapping and things like that, it shouldn't necessarily need to be done at the local level. You'd be able to get assistance from higher up government to do those things and take care of the cost of that.
They're not gonna do it much with them.
So.
That's why we ask for the testing. We're pushing to the extent we can do it. As the alderman said, the mayor said, the city will do whatever within reason it can, but our resources are somewhat limited compared to the resources of the state and federal government.
Well, one thing that we can do with limited resources is make a plan to have more monitoring for Carus and their emissions.
We have looked into that a little bit. Alderman Justin here has been in contact with people that monitor the air monitor. So we are looking into that.
So, well, looking into it is one thing. I'm kind of suggesting what the Sierra Club said. They said we should be in contact with the local universities and places that might put up that. And that we can work with Sierra Club, not just one alderman or 2 aldermen. I mean, if you're going to make a committee, I'd like to be on that committee. Jamie would probably like to be on that committee.
Yeah, I've been in contact with Yetnock's office, and he suggested maybe working with Northern University, ISU, U of I, potentially the Sierra Club. Maybe setting up multi-location air monitoring systems that run 24 hours a day.
Yes.
But again, there's a cost associated with this unless we had a university that would like to take on, say, graduate students wanted to do a thesis on Carus and potential pollution and.
Oh, there's grants out there.
Yes, maybe
there's
grants to examine this.
And if Brent's too busy to write them, I'll help you.
Yeah, it's something to look into. Like I said, I've talked to Yetnock's office a couple times now, and he said this is a proactive way to approach a situation.
That's my alderman.
So, yeah, I'm going to continue to stay in contact with his office and see what can be done.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. The only other thing that that I have down here is that and I'm pro Sierra Club and wondering why $80,000 and all kinds of testing that don't seem relevant to what we're trying to find that were originally proposed. I'm not sure, it just seemed a little self-serving to me. So I hope the council, and it seems like you are, doing your own independent investigations and asking questions. And actually, as the council meetings go on, I'd like to hear, like I hear that, I'd like to hear more of that from the council and from you and what you're doing and updates, so that the city's residents have a good idea of how much work you are doing, because actually we're not getting it. If that makes any sense.
I can't speak for any other alderman. My cell phone has been blown up because it's an election.
Sure.
Period. But nonetheless, you can call me at any time. If you want to know what I know, what I've been doing, then you call me. I don't care what ward you live in. And I would think that applies to a lot of aldermen up here, but I can't speak for them. But again, if your due diligence, I can make a call as an alderman, I can make a call as a private citizen to Northern Illinois University. It doesn't have, these are part-time guys. We're trying to do the best we can. Some of them still work jobs. However, point in the right direction and people will jump on it.
If we have a committee authorized by the city of LaSalle, they listen a lot better than a person that just calls up and said, hey, how about some, it's true. I mean, that's just how it is.
You folks, we've sat here, this whole period of time, listening, not only tonight, but every night that we've had this issue. The thing is that Jamie has information, each one of you has all this information, okay? It's very difficult to ever come up with any solution without having all the facts. I think my recommendation is that you get together as a committee and put your information together and submit it to the proper channel. That, right now, our focal point would be Brent. So once you collected all that stuff, then he would send the material to us as far as our interest is.
So what would you like to see, Jerry?
Well, this would be mostly, for example, Jamie's already given us a presentation with many of the problems. I think if you folks all got together and said, all right, let's put it all together, it would be something a little bit more powerful than what you say, what Jamie says, or anyone else. I mean, we're just as interested. I live only 6 blocks away from the plant. Now, unfortunately, my cars sit out and I didn't have any problem, but I'm on the south side.
Did you have your furnace filter tested?
Well, my filter to the furnace is, I haven't had them tested, no. But, it's like anything else, it goes back to the old house type of thing.
No, it
We're still
doesn't.
finding houses and businesses and things that still have been painted. And,
Jesus Christ.
It has to be more relevant to right now. This is the problem. It happened in January. We've listened to everything that everybody said, but we need for you folks to put that all together.
How can the city help us put it together?
Well, that would be a little something because, we all have something else to do at the same time.
And so do we.
However, we'd be willing to find a way to work with you. I mean, we'll work with anyone in every issue. I mean,
Can you get an intern? You can probably get an intern from AmeriCorps, like $8 an hour, $12 an hour, whatever it is. You get us an intern and we'll put it together.
I got interns before, but it takes a couple of years to get one.
we did have here a few years back, we did have an intern.
It didn't take our folks a couple years to get them. We get them all the time. Or IBCC student. I mean, that's.
Very idea that we can't get people to run the parks for $15 an hour.
Yeah.
Bro, I know your
I get
point, but I mean,
I get it, but this is a partnership, not, we present everything to you and you pass it on. That's not what this is. The city is invested.
Contract out a person to do this. Hey, this is what we do to set this up for us.
Well, you were gonna spend $80,000. You wanna spend a little of that on a.
No, we're not. No, we're
That didn't even
not.
get passed.
No, man.
I'm just saying, there's ways to, try to do this. Somebody professional who really knows what to do and, collect the data.
Pat, see this here? This is all stuff that we get copies of everything.
Right.
And you folks have even more information than we have here.
Well, that's what we need for an action item. We need the council to commit to putting it together with us.
Together and start talking and appoint key people to be part of your team, so to speak.
I think the point is we have to get, and Tom hit this up, and I think Jordan did, I think, is we gotta get to the point where does it make sense that we're not gonna move the needle? And that just, you gotta go to the lawsuits or the civil actions where you say you get a little bit more money back. Because right now, I feel like we're spinning our wheels.
Until I know, well.
And EPA continues to shut us down. US EPA. Lance has been less in his responses now, where he was more gung-ho at the beginning, and I think he's running into a brick wall too. I know the young lady back there, hey, it starts here. we've been pushing, we've been trying, but it gets to the point where, you know, we have other stuff we have to do too.
Right.
You know, Brent can't have 45 hours a week just on this. He's got other responsibilities to other taxpayers in the city, you know? But I think we want some guidance, but where do we draw the line?
Well, I would want to know specifically, I want to ask or have you ask on my behalf, what will it take for the EPA to change their direction? To say that more testing is needed, or to say that Carus is at fault? What will it take? Now, you just keep giving us more and we just keep saying no. What will it take? That's what I want to know.
That's why I
Then
said.
I would suggest
the more
you
material-
ask.
I will. Just like the deer that the conservation police wouldn't pick up when it was behind that lady's house and Jamie asked and it sat there. But when our city engineer asked them, they were there in, 20 minutes?
We've asked a lot of questions.
Right now, there doesn't appear to be any indoor science tests of any sort that they would support and say that they can, attach that somehow to Carus fire. Now, that's the conversation that I've had with them.
Well, good. I didn't think so either.
I do recommend that other people do it though, because what I want to get to is that I've had many conversations with them, and they, no offense, Jamie, they always say, this is a Jamie thing. It's like, no, it's not a Jamie thing. This is a full council meeting. This is a neighborhood that has frustrations. I've consistently tried to push that to them. And that's why in our letter, I wanted to make sure that I've advocated and said that we have people coming to us concerned. And it was my hope that saying that and having the constant conversations I've had with them, that maybe they'd think, okay, we'll do a little more testing just to kind of take them seriously. That didn't happen.
There was time
So-
for the drafting of these letters to the EPA and the Department of Public Health to try and get a sense to what, to answer the question you're talking, or what is their thought as to what else should be done for you. And basically, we'll show you that they say their opinion, which has been kind of summarized by some of the people here, but I think you need to read them for yourself and see what they have had to say. And
Would you send them to me, Brent?
Yeah, I gave you the contact information. When I say that, it's not my, I don't want you to take it the perception of like, you need to do more work. I want to do the perception of like, if they hear from all of us individually, maybe they realize this is more than just a city official saying, we're asking you to do more testing, no thank you, we're good. We're asking you to do more testing, no thank you, we're good. We're asking you to do more testing, no thank you, we're good. I think that maybe if they hear from a larger consensus, maybe that shakes something loose. If not, I don't know for sure.
30 people calling is better than just Brent calling.
Right, and me.
Let's go to the people here. People, are you gonna call the EPA? What are you gonna do?
I've called them, but
Call? Call? Will you call if you haven't called?
you can't get through.
Yeah, we have
Brad Frost won't answer his phone if that's who you're gonna give him.
Brian Frost. Well, for IEP, they gave you a new person, so I think we burned out the other one, but.
Yeah, I think I have.
Okay, well, and what I want from Carus, because I live 2 miles away from the plant, I want my ductwork cleaned, and I want $100 stipend, because now I'm gonna have to start buying those MERV 13 filters that cost like $42 and change.
Already did.
Oh, and let me just tell you, ours that is still horribly after the fire and changed it, our furnace is less than 5 years old. All the paint and drywall in our house is brand new, and we had our ducts cleaned within a few years ago. So if there, I'm telling you right now, it's coming from Carus. I live 2 blocks away.
Right. MERV 13 filters.
Oh, we are doing MERV 13, and that's the filter that Jamie tested was a MERV 13.
Wow, wow. Okay, well, let somebody else talk.
Why you need to get this organized in order to move forward.
Help us, help us, help us.
We'll do what we can.
One thing I'd like to see in that, I believe the city can do, and do it legally, and it's the truth, is after every one of these city council meetings, I would love to see posted on, have the city, somebody call Carus and request a meeting. The residents want to talk to Carus, and I would love to see it posted on the City of LaSalle's Facebook that once again, Carus Chemical has denied talking to residents who have, you can say whatever you want about chemicals, who have property damage. That's a fact. You don't have to say nothing about chemicals.
I think the press is all right here.
Well, the press never writes
They
their
know, but they know.
Why are they against those?
Well, we're asking you guys.
Every council meeting, they can be here, they know the residents are gonna be here, they're not here.
I
So
sure
that
wish they
falls
would
on,
that.
that falls on these individuals right here to report that. They choose to or not is up to them.
Right.
But half the people don't buy the paper
Well-
anymore, which is sad.
Which is good too.
Community
We can't, let's not be at the media, they're trying to do the best job.
They're here.
Well, I'm not to be ignorant, but the last meeting I was in, the Sierra Club was here. I sat next to Olivia with the News Tribune, and she moved on, and I thanked her for her help. But I watched her erase paragraphs and get a text and start re-messaging. And by the time we walked out of this meeting and I made it home, she had it already up online, the story, and Carus Chemicals somehow ended up in our meeting with the Sierra Club. I watched her do it. And she kept getting a text and she kept erasing paragraphs. I wish she could have wrote what she really wanted to write, and that's what I told her.
Marty Schneck.
Yes. Tom, back to what you were asking if Jamie trusts the EPA. I don't think many of us do. Immediately after the fire, the EPA only tested for 2 chemicals because they went on the honor system of Carus Chemical. That's all that was in the fire. Is that normal protocol for them to just ask the company what's in the fire and take it as gospel? I'm not sure about that.
They should have a process and they should follow it,
Yeah.
no matter what it is.
Anyways, what really confuses me is that they tested for more than that on the Carus property that day of the fire. And then when the results came in for that with off the charts levels of chemicals and metals, they ignored those results. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's proof right there that you need to do more testing. And we shouldn't have had to be the ones to find this information out. And then even when we did find it out, they discredited it, as chain of custody issues. I mean, that's ludicrous, to be honest with you. But when the lab results came back, the EPA that day, we FOIA'd the lab results, and at the bottom of the original report was a footnote from the lab stating that the wrong unit of measurement was used for the results of the test, for the testing that they did for the air monitoring. And if they were to use the correct ones, most of those samples would have failed the test. Somehow that footnote did not make it onto the report that we were all issued. So that's very concerning, and that's one of the main reasons why we don't trust it. I've sent it, I don't know if it was to Mr. Duncan or to Mr. Jepson, but I sent them the footnote after I met with them to show that we weren't lying about that. There's many more things. With the brownfield, it's like, no, we don't trust them either. How do you go from recommending that no further testing is needed to wanting to test things that nobody's even concerned about or even brought up in any of the meetings? The PAHs that they're testing for, they want to test for, have to do with smoking cigarettes and stuff. How does that have anything to do with lead, zinc, mercury, stuff like that? And then a questionnaire. What would the questionnaire be for? If the questionnaire was about the cigarettes and stuff, which it claims that it was in the report or the proposal that he gave you, then why? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought here for a second. Oh, if he's questioning about, if those people that questionnaire, if they say that they have wood burning stoves or if they have, smoked cigarettes in the house and stuff like that, those people are going to be taken out of the pool of people who are going to be tested, then why test for that stuff? You know what I mean? If you're taking them out of it, then what are you testing for? It's kind of like it's a way to discredit our filter samples. What other reason would it be?
I think it's like a drug screen, right? I don't know if you ever had one at work. I've had one at work many times. And they always say, are you taking any other kind of medication?
Right.
That could affect the results. And I think that's what they're trying to do, is come up with a baseline, what other things could be influencing the results.
They're trying to ask some of the same questions that a lawyer at the end of the lawsuit is going to ask to challenge whether or not the testing has legitimate foundation. And if they can get the foundation answered so that the rules things out as being related cause, they feel it might help the validity of the test.
So
I'm not going to speak for them, but I'm just surmising that could be a reason. And we can all agree, the Sierra Club obviously has its own opinions of what should be done, what's foundation needed, what isn't. And they've had a lot of experience too. And maybe when you submit some of what they're suggesting to the EPA, maybe they'll reconsider it, although they didn't change their mind with the other Sierra Club test results that were there. But certainly the city remains open to, as all the aldermen and mayor have said, and myself, to everything.
In the letter that Yednak issued, just what was that, just a few days ago, about what the EPA said and about they weren't going to do anything else about it. Who did I get that from? Was it, Jamie?
Well,
Brent, did you send that?
I included, I'm not sure.
Brent was also sending it out. We had asked for the EPA to consider not only what our first letter went out to the EPA and to the Department of Public Health and to the federal EPA asking, we didn't even have the proposal in writing from Brownfield yet, just to ask them what additional, we wanted, based on the testing that we had sent already, which included Sierra Club testing, included prior Brownfield testing, included EPA testing, what additional testing, if any, would be helpful, because we still had concerns by many residents that more testing needed to be done. So we were asking what they had, because they already had some of this stuff for quite some time. Then when we got to Brownfield, we supplemented with the Brownfield information, with the formal report from Brownfield, with the other. But we asked first, correct, general questions as to what additional testing, if any, they recommended that they thought would be helpful, because we had many residents with concerns that more testing should be done.
Well, what do you think when they said that there was only 2 chemicals in the fire? We proved that there was more. You guys came and tested, even Brownfield, even though they left the real bad one out that was in Jamie's yard, that one that was off the charts. I mean, we proved that the chemicals and metals are in our yards, regardless of the fact, regardless of the levels. Isn't that? I mean, shouldn't that be looked into? I mean, that's just to be brushed off. Okay, so we found out that Carus was lying. Oh well, you guys are, it's under the level of, remediation. So what else can we possibly do? I mean, it's, and then Brownfield, I don't know. So Yednak, in his letter, he says, he agrees with Brownfield, and actually says it'd be difficult, and the EPA says it'd be difficult to attribute the pollutants to a specific source, citing there are many confounding factors that are there and many potential indoor air pollutants found in any house, including furniture, air fresheners, and carpet. I don't know how any of those things would have lead, barium, zinc, or anything. And it's just ridiculous to even put that in the letter. What's he trying to get at? I mean,
It wasn't him. He's quoting the EPA.
Right. Well, the EPA, which is going back to our trust in the EPA. I mean, this is. I mean, for me to be able to figure this stuff out and them not or catch on to is just beyond me. But I don't know.
It's reality. Like, just let that sit in. Like, it's reality. The EPA does not care. They don't care. I mean, they've already told us like 5 different ways. We don't care. Continue to pollute LaSalle, and the city is doing everything they can, but they're just spinning the wheels, wasting their resources when they aren't going to do anything. And I think that that's what this meeting has kind of now gotten to. The EPA says they don't care. Carus obviously does not care. And the only hope that we possibly have is getting some class action lawsuit that's going to, like, make up for the property damage all of us have, because that's where we're at.
This is an EPA report, final report. It was finished on the 17th.
On the 17th, yeah.
And this has a lot of interesting information about the fire. This was wrote by Robert Kendrick. I had to blow it up because they had it such small print I couldn't read it, but I don't understand. they cleared us. Everything's cleared. They came and tested water at night. The Little Vermilion. Nobody was here from the EPA till about 3 o'clock. You guys know that. It was right before the press conference. The EPA guy even told me that. IDNR didn't show up till later. Nobody was testing that water until later in the day. Nobody was testing the air till later in the day. Nobody tested the air in the middle of the night as the fire smoldered.
And the sediment needs to be.
They were worried. They were worried about the first responders, but it's just like they showed no concern for us. The EPA hazmat should have been at my house in our neighborhood. Carus shouldn't have been the ones to come out and look at it. I mean, that there is wrong.
That's against protocol.
I mean, that I don't even.
When you ship a product and they say it has this and this in it, and you have a spill on your dock, what do you treat it for? Any possible spill, or for what's on that label?
But I mean, we call ahead to the emergency response training solutions.
You give them what the number.
And we give them what the numbers are, how much it was spilled.
Okay.
And then they immediately decide.
What happens was if this was in there or this is in there. No.
We had a chemical plant blow up.
These guys did. They went up the company. Now, did I say the company was 100% honest? Doesn't seem that way, right? But that's all the information they had to go off.
Well, the EPA had the toxic.
You can't just test for anything.
There's
You
three.
have a-
When the spill team comes, they can test for anything.
There's 300. There's 300 and some chemicals in that facility.
I know.
It's not 1 million pounds of stuff in the air.
But we call them and they make the call and we tell them they need to come for it.
But they also have they have the toxic inventory report or whatever. where
They're gonna do
There's 300 and some chemicals in that plant, and you're telling me only potassium permanganate went up.
Maria, you're preaching to the choir. I'm just saying that's what the EPA is to say, hey, contact chemical.
That's because the EPA
They're gonna say, hey.
the EPA is testing their product on an Air Force base. The EPA is in with them. That's the whole thing.
Because of the water.
Because of the water.
The insurance company, because I've dealt with them a lot. The Davies Group and the Allied Universal, they're looking into them. I mean, they're pretty much risk management companies, for global companies, to minimize the risk, not to, of course it says that they do a little bit of adjusting and stuff like that, but there's also 50 different things. The first time that I talked to the adjuster, I questioned whether he was an adjuster and what he knew and stuff like that, and he didn't seem to have an answer. And then, asking him what they inspect for, he gave me, was mumbling the first couple words, and then after he spit out the first 3 words, he racked off 10 other things, as to grab a piece of paper and go to his notes. But anyways, so he came to my house. He told me that he wasn't going to get on the roof because they had decided that there was no damage to the roofs, so they weren't going to be paying for them. So I talked to him about, State Farm and what they're doing about it and how I handle insurance claims all the time. And he told me that, to get that information to him when I could. Anyways, when I got the report or the information from the Davies Club, they sent me an email with a breakdown of what they're going to pay for, and they wanted to pay just to clean everything, even though they already tried that, and they're the ones who decided that it wasn't coming clean, so they quit doing it. So that made no sense. It also said on the paper that I denied the roof inspection, which I did not. So I called and talked to another lady. Actually, when I called, they told me that they transferred my case over to somebody else. So I talked to a senior person at the Davies Club, the Davies Group, and she was, really didn't want to tell me much until I started picking her brain, and she realized that I knew more than she thought I knew. And she had to admit some stuff. I actually found out that the company, I got her to slip in the company that insures them. I don't know if it's, a policy to where they insure themselves up to a certain point, and then this company, but it's AIG. And she knew it when she said it, that she made a mistake, and it was funny. I actually thought I recorded it, but it didn't record. But also, on the email, on every email I went back and looked, and I asked her about this. Why is it? Because I questioned certain things, why it was worded the way it was worded. It didn't seem like it was, looking at different insurance paperwork and stuff like that, nothing looks like this. It says Mr. Schneider versus Carus. And when I asked her that, she said, she didn't really know what to say at first. She said, well, you know, sometimes us insurance people, we word it like that. I said, no, you don't. In the years that I've been doing this, I have never once seen anything like that. This is more like litigation in a case that you're building up. And we went back and forth, and yeah, she really didn't know what to do. But I got her to admit that AIG is their insurance company. So I kind of had to hang up the phone because I didn't want to lose my cool. But anyways, yeah, so I don't know. This company, I mean, the adjuster, when I looked into him, he was flown here. He got new ladders and rented a truck or whatnot. But he said he was from Alabama. I looked on his card. He's licensed in Georgia, Alabama, and Texas, and California, not Illinois.
You don't have to, just clear up some things, an adjuster doesn't have.
Well,
to.
their company does, right? Their company
The
does.
insurance company.
Right.
That's why this is such a big issue.
Right, exactly.
But if they're insured and they're underneath an insurance company, those adjusters are okay based on that. But as you
Correct.
know.
But who sent them here? You know, I mean,
Well, that's why we have a complaint.
And by the way, that letter that you received that says so-and-so versus, it's actually a legal document, and they're trying to get people to sign them, because in that document, as I read through it, and I've seen many legal documents in my career, they're trying to get you to sign off on one piece. So like anyone who submitted, who received a check, they're trying to get you to sign that document to get the check, and that's their full release as a legal document. So for any of our elderly that might have been through there, we didn't sign our lease, we didn't take our check, because they're actually asking you to sign everything away in all future litigation. But elderly people may not know that.
I thought of that the other day.
Yeah, it's terrible. If any of us that got a letter with a check, it says exactly that, and they want a full release. And it's a legal document.
Present a certificate of insurance that shows
No.
that they're,
No.
The only, and again, we've been, Mr. McFedrin and myself for the last 2 weeks have spent up 10 hours, all the way up to the director of insurance, which doesn't matter because then he put me back to the deputy, and we had got, 5 names? But the first step, finally, is to file complaints, and it was decided that it's better for the residents, though I did consolidate all of them and send them this morning. I was hoping to have good news from the deputy director stating that the case has been opened, but of course, nobody's returning my call now, so we'll have to wait and see how that develops. But I would think because Lance had not specifically stated in response to the city that he's getting inquiries from the Department of Insurance, that's why I'm saying you guys can't stop, you gotta keep calling. You're opening up cans, little cans of worms, and sooner or later, maybe you'll hit something that'll actually change the big thing that we need changed. I don't know what that is.
Right, me either. I mean, what we do find out, everybody believes, but they don't consider it as proof.
Bob called one agency, right, and you said, I'm sure you're on the Carus flyer, and like, no. He's like, well, real quick. And they go there and call, right?
Actually, this lady started saying swear words, and she went.
So he told me a bunch of times.
Where's the closest property? And I said, across the street. She goes, what do you mean by across the
Yeah,
street?
the fact that we're keeping asking the questions, good, you would think everybody should know about this.
No.
You know, but they don't.
But I don't know if Jamie's still trying to set up, I'm not gonna speak on that, but
Yeah,
if you want.
Marty is too. He's involved. He's supposed to be doing my flyers, so jump on his ass.
Well, reality, there's a lot you were doing, you guys have to make all these decisions on your own. I don't wanna waste the council's
But yeah,
time.
no, we're gonna put out flyers. I want to wait for this meeting actually to find out more about the testing, because we're gonna start sending out flyers and delivering them.
Yeah, before somebody that could have had the opportunity does exactly what you said.
What she said, and that's what I'm worried. I'm worried of the elderly and.
Exactly.
Too late.
Jamie said something on a couple of
Before they
slides.
sign any releases, they should consider consulting with their own lawyer, but you're not required to sign off on, for example, health-related aspects of the claim in order to sign off on property damage.
Right.
You can also do, and that's very important, that people should definitely read those things. I'm not going to get into people who haven't retained me as a client, but as a general principle of law, you can settle out property damage aspect without settling out the health and injury. The health and injury may not be known, sometimes you have to monitor those things for years, but you do have statutes of limitations to be concerned about. But that's separate than the property damage, which should be addressed quickly and should be easier
That's a little bit of the frustration that we have with the media and the reports that they put out after the meetings, because it's all roses when we walk out of here as far as everything. And so our community doesn't realize that we have this stuff in our furnace filters and in our soil and stuff. And they could, if they do have the company come in there, they have no idea on what they're trying to do. They think that they're being taken care of when they're not.
Well, the letter that we got, we just submitted ours because we have that Z-Bar coating on our vehicle, so we had to take them to Z-Bar to get cleaned. And thankfully, because we had that coating, it did protect our vehicles, even though we were so close. But the letter that they sent us to sign for our check actually was a legal document that was the, X and X versus Carus, and in that, they wanted a full release of all property damage. So the truth is,
serious?
I'm serious, and in order to get reimbursed for a car wash, that's what they're asking residents to sign.
Yeah.
And any elderly would not know the difference that this is a settlement document versus a reimbursement document, which should really be handled by a petty cash system, not an insurance company. So the truth is someone would have taken advantage of.
One thing we said in that newspaper article, I think it was Saturday, was if you see somebody that does want to get credentials, right? Or somebody that doesn't show any official, resources that it should be there, that's when you said, call the police, and they can make sure.
No. It's a Carus document. They're just wording it as a legal settlement versus a reimbursement. And no one who doesn't read legal documents on a daily basis would know the difference between that document versus a reimbursement versus a full release. And that's exactly what they're asking.
You said a friend review it or have an attorney, right? Review it.
Oh, we aren't signing. Yeah. I mean, it's to get our car washed.
People who might not know better.
Yeah, but most people can't afford an attorney. They can hardly afford the power bill or the water bill. I mean, seriously, I'm not being ignorant. I'm just saying
That's why they ought to at least have to respond to who their insurance company is. So if you have an objection, you can file it. And you have the Department of Insurance too.
Well, if you contact Lance Yednock, he will provide you with not only the EPA's letter that y'all received, the Illinois EPA, but they'll also provide you with that paper from the complaint form. He gave something else, but I got to talk with you on that. I don't know what the hell
Well,
it was.
as you all know, that filled out the complaint form requires you to know the insurance company you're filing a complaint against. That's why the Department of Insurance is so hot about this after watching.
And I would suggest that more people go on Lance Yednock's, hit him up, fill it out, and get the paperwork
Send it to residents.
sent out.
Yeah.
I'll write
Send it around.
petition things like there was in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then people would just circulate that.
On that particular issue, Representative Yednock was responsive and did try and investigate. And as I said, has referred it out again to the Department of Insurance, and also indicated to me he sent a copy on to the Attorney General's office.
But what do we do for now? I guess is the question. Do we allow these people on our property that won't show the credentials?
We can't tell you what to do.
You know better than that.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know better.
Powerful when you work together as a team. I'll preach that forever. Get all your material together and put it in one place. So that you know what everybody else is going through. I mean, it's gonna take a while to document that. There isn't much we can do based on each individual case without all the facts.
Yeah.
We've gotta have people believe when we bring the facts.
We believe, we're here, but we can't do anything without those people who are legally, they're the people who are authorized and have the knowledge and the techniques to test everything. The more power you got behind you, the better off you are.
Professor, do you believe
Power behind us.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, I believe you.
Do you believe I wrote my own stuff tonight? Did I wrote my own speech tonight? Huh?
I don't know, did you write your own?
I think that was absolutely ridiculous. And what was your point of doing that? What were we getting at? You think this is a joke? You didn't message the other aldermen saying that my brother wrote my speech for me?
I said, did he ask you about it?
Oh.
And then I
saw the text.
Well, was he helping you with it?
I saw the text.
That's what I said, yeah, I said, was Mark helping him?
So what'd you say?
Which one you said what I said? What does that have to do with it?
Let's move on.
It's not irrelevant. I mean, you hear nothing but criticize people when they come in here. People talk, spill their hearts out and stuff, and you have, smart comments to them.
It just seems like, here's what I said, you were reading it like somebody else wrote it. If you really felt it, you wouldn't have to read it like somebody else wrote it.
The problem is I have like a million things in my head, just like Jamie does, and when I get to talk last, after everybody's talked about everything, so I'm scrambling trying to readjust everything, and it didn't work out. So today I decided just to speak my mind instead of reading it like that, because I'm not that kind of person. But I just want to say I didn't appreciate that, and that's not the kind of people that we need up here. So hopefully that you consider, no matter who loses tomorrow in your ward, you step down and let the other person take your spot.
That's what you think?
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I'm not doing it.
Because there's two men running tomorrow. It's unfortunate one of them have to lose.
Well, I believe I'm doing a good job.
I think you do too.
Okay, and I try to figure everything out. So maybe I go too deep.
Not too deep, you dig into people, why? We're here to talk to you, we're here for help.
Well, you're
We're
digging
not here to
into
get
me.
made fun of.
You're digging into me.
Of course I am, I'm disrespected, I was hurt.
Excuse me, gentlemen, I think we're getting off the point of the subject tonight. This seems.
All right,
You need to take that outside
brought this
discussion.
up. I'm gonna tell you something. Probably the last name at the Carus Thanksgiving table is mine. I've been fighting those people since I got in over the hotel. So don't say I'm sticking up to the Carus.
I never said you're sticking up with the Carus, but you didn't want to listen to us at first.
I'm listening to you, and I feel sorry. Hey, I got 3 little dogs that I wouldn't let out in my yard. I know what you're going through. But, don't be asking me to resign.
I mean, if you're not going to do what your residents want, then that's, I'll leave it alone. And I apologize for bringing this up here, but I don't see, I had to.
I mean, we talk all the time over your problem, but we just can't seem to solve your problem. Like Brent said, we're up against the EPA, the IEPA, they're saying everything's fine. So we gotta find something, but how do you find something?
So could you look into the original report that I said that has that footnote on it, saying that they measured the unit, tested it wrong, and that they would have failed the test if they would have done it the right way? That should be all we need.
Criteria.
We need people like you to bring this to the ECNOC and stuff. Like, they don't listen to us. They act like they do.
I mean, we've been trying to do everything, but, just like the mayor said, when anything we find, we send to the EPA and they're saying, we tested and everything's fine.
Right.
So what do?
Well, you show them that.
The only thing you can do is sue them.
If I listen to the EPA,
we have been getting.
we wouldn't be where we're at right now.
We are getting a packet together of information to deliver to all you guys. We just haven't gotten it all together yet because we're still waiting on stuff.
So what do you think the EPA is crooked?
No.
Or they're just not doing their job?
I think
they're understaffed.
Carus is such a big company and their product is so, areas are forced to use their product. How much?
Some certain areas are ordered to have a certain.
Oh yeah, you gotta have the 60-day supply.
I just think that they have so much power, and if they were to be shut down or to
by the EPA,
that it's going to hurt so much that the EPA is going to overlook it. I don't think the EPA is corrupt, no. But I do think they're overlooking,
If they're overlooking this, they are corrupt.
I agree, but
they are
I can't
corrupt.
let stand up here and say that.
They're supposed to, whether or not, it's gonna hurt a bunch of people, if they're hurting people, they ought to do something to them. I agree with that.
well, we notice a lot of safety things going on around the facility now. And I'm just curious if all that stuff wasn't supposed to be in place before this
All right,
explosion.
now, where I grew up is on 601 Todd Street. That's a half a block, or a block down from there. Well, we had the M&H years ago, you guys weren't even born. That they had an acid plant. They called it the acid plant, and they'd shoot this yellow shit out, okay? And then our houses would be yellow, so they'd come down and they'd power wash them. This is back in the 60s.
Yeah, that's insane.
Our houses used to turn yellow. Now, they hose it off, but we were breathing it.
Yeah.
But Well, I don't even know if there was an EPA back. You know what I mean, back in the 60s, because
72.
they come once a month, hose our houses down, and that was it.
But anyways, I apologize.
No,
It's
off your chest.
just the next morning I woke up and it was blindsided by that. It's like, what the
Well,
hell
I'm
just
just
happened?
saying, you know, we're doing everything, but it just seems like we can't do nothing. If you're fighting it, all right, now you just said the EPA. I call them, if they're not doing their job, they're wrong. You said no, and I feel that's correct.
I say it, but I mean,
There's a difference between the Illinois EPA and the US EPA. The US EPA was here for 3 days and they bolted. They left. The day we had the meeting, I remember Brent saying something about how lucky we are that we had the EPA and we had 2 contacts. Well, one was the media contact for the EPA to keep the media down on what was going on the scene. And that's what you guys do, your public relations. And the other one was Robert, and they were gone. They left. He left here. He never came
That's for
back.
making sure that the Illinois EPA isn't shutting them down because everyone else in the United States needs clean drinking water. Like, it's not like
I know.
complicated.
That's
But
what
what
it
I'm
is.
making.
It is.
If we need drinking water, Illinois sweep this under the rug and move on.
Everything that I've read in the reports, it was more panic about how are we gonna get this product to the people. There was more information on that. And then EPA contacts,
Yeah.
that was for the people needing the potassium permanganate.
all right, thank you guys for your time.
It was, it's all in the reports. I mean, you can go right on Carus's website and read it. They got an article in there right now that's all kit and caboodles.
I'm gonna make a suggestion. My name's Katie Tricoli, and I would suggest that the city of LaSalle write a letter to the Illinois Attorney General and ask them to investigate how all this has gone down.
Good idea.
That is a good idea.
Thank you.
Your thoughts on this topic?
I get a motion. Then we can get it done. Would anyone care to carry that motion or suggest it so we can get it seconded and have it done?
Yeah.
We're just gonna talk about that tonight. That's a fantastic idea. We, you know, we're small, we're the small fish in a big pond. But if we get the state's attorney working on it, we can even go with the.
Mr. Yadnock, Representative Yadnock has already referred on to the Attorney General's office, that's one aspect of the question.
Yeah, it's in motion.
Yeah, I
mean, it is in motion.
That one footnote, I think, would make a huge difference.
The thing is I'm sure that the Illinois Attorney General gets lots of requests. So if you send a letter that says, our state representative, Mr. Yadnock, has been in contact with you, and we'd like to reinforce that and have you come out and do an investigation, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And if they know that you're behind it as well as our state representative, then maybe something will get done.
That's true. Yes. Yes.
I'm just telling you, you're dealing with a huge chemical company that's got deep pockets and lots of power.
Are you kind of leading that fight over in Ottawa right now with that? How's that going?
I am, yes. How's that going?
She's Lance's aunt.
And I am Lance's aunt, yes.
He won't even answer her calls.
He does get lots of text messages from me about this, just an FYI.
You got 15 pages from.
Full disclosure.
And,
Full disclosure is nobody up here is taking any money from Carus for elections.
Well, I haven't taken any money from him either. And I've told him not to cross my property line either. So there's that too. Just an FYI.
Yeah, why can't we
I'm just gonna say, I think y'all need to be proactive. Contact the Illinois Attorney General, support your state representative, support your state senator, and support your community, and make that squeaky wheel.
like I said, we just provided 15 pages of documents that Lance Yadnock requested in the request to deal with the Attorney General.
Okay.
I mean, if
You're doing it, so
yeah, we're
I'm
doing it.
I
I mean, I don't know how else to share We can only do so much, but it is in there.
You know,
It's working.
years ago, I'm gonna go back to about 1980 or so, we fought a hazardous waste landfill called Pioneer Processing. I was part of Residents Against a Polluted Environment. And Neil Hartigan was our Illinois Attorney General. And he showed up out on the farm out there in his helicopter, okay? It can happen, but it has to happen because you speak up and you hold their feet to the fire and you say, we need you here, we need you now. That's the only way it's gonna happen, is if we show a united front.
And the city has
Thank
to
you.
act proactively, like Katie said, not, I gave it to Lance and then Lance is going to. We need you to be proactive.
And in there, what I said earlier, Carus Chemical will not respond to talking to the residents. To me, that is a huge concern. As a resident affected, that is huge.
Well, I think it's so interesting there that that they can call you to run the city sweeper and the water to get rid of the second chemical spill that they had, but they won't return your calls even though you have to listen to us. That's what's disappointing. And I think that should be the message that's in the paper. Carus will call us when they had another leak out because they had us to run the water down there and sweep all that stuff down the municipal sewer.
Or a police escort.
Well, again, but the third party, but again, they still aren't returning your calls, but you have to listen to us week over week.
I mean, potentially, we could quit coming here if you guys could get Carus to talk to us one time.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Shit.
No, and
We're trying.
I'm starving, I'm gonna go again, I'm gonna
They showed up pretty quick on the day of the fire. Why don't they come back? I don't get that.
Cameras are going.
Yeah, they drowned out the national media, is how they put it. It's pretty amazing that the EPA's got that control.
I think that's it, and thanks, Jeff, thanks everyone.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
How about on the city
And thank you, Bob.
website? The last
And
thing
Jordan.
that I saw on the city website was Brownfield's report and not the updated one. How about something on the city website that shows the disparity in what we see and what's actually happening?
Yeah,
Do that.
so
You need everything that we have currently here on my desk as well as all the studies that I've been down this.
Yeah.
I think because
So I'll say I apologize that I've not updated that with the most recent studies. I've been.
Well, a lot of them have come
He's
in
been busy.
in 3 days.
Well, yeah, a lot of them have come in the past 3 days.
Some of them
But-
have
We're gonna overtime.
I am sensitive that we have personal
said he's running-
addresses
getting
out there,
employees
but
to
no
get rid of
one's
the pamphlet.
resident names are associated with, so I would
I bet,
imagine
yeah.
that we would be fine. Correct, Jim? Posting those studies publicly?
Yeah, probably. I'd have to look at it and study, but we
I
can
just
get
want to make
that
sure we're
on
not reading anything with
Facebook.
privacy.
It would make a big difference, Brent, because people that I talk to, when I'm walking around in my neighborhood, whatever, I go, hey, how about that? And they go, oh, that's nothing, that's all done.
Yeah.
And so if they want to take a chance and look at it, if they want to look at the city website, they're gonna go, oh yeah, that's all done, what's everybody complaining about? So we're giving, a not complete picture to the rest of the residents of LaSalle that are not showing up.
I don't need council action for that. It's a good idea, so thank you.
Sorry.
All right.
Tell it, Brett.
I'll slow down on the FOIAs.
That would be helpful.
I can get some sleep.
See that, we're working together now.
All right, guys, thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This went very well. A lot better than the norm.
I know everyone's really tired, but
No.
is it okay if I just say something really quick?
Oh, no.
off topic?
Let's hear it.
Okay, thank you. I'm so
Have you
sorry.
been waiting on us this whole time, Sheila? Oh my God!
It's okay.
She's like, oh God.
So, hello everyone, I'm Brittany Eccles. I'm with the